when I tell you, this is my second time filming this whole video. Because the last time I filmed it, I just was like confused. Because that's how confusing French visas are. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite bound bodied baddie.
What?
Sometimes I question, why am I so extra? Anyway, it's been a little bit of time. I hope you guys are doing all right. Like, seriously, how you doing? Before we start chatting, how you doing? Let's take a pause. Let's take a moment. Because you are the moments. You are everything. You are gracious. You are beautiful. You are loved. Did I just throw affirmations in my French visa video? Yes, I did. You know, it's the holiday season, so since I'm feeling festive, I wanted to gift you guys with my most asked question.
What visa are you on?
Y'all ask this question a lot. My Instagram DMs, my YouTube comments, sometimes even my Facebook messages. And although I have no problem with y'all reaching out, I'm making this video so y'all don't ask me no more. After you watch this video, you're gonna know all about French visas and why you shouldn't come to France and try to apply for French visas. Because you know what? Although I live in Paris, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. French administration does not make it easy to live in Paris. It's time to talk about French visas. Est-ce que tu es prête? T'es prête? Are you ready? I'm not. It's not gonna be short. Just so you know. So like strap in your seatbelt, buckle in, let's go for a ride. Come on, let's go. Okay, stop, child. We're not doing this. Before we get into the topic of French visas, since we're in the spirit of giving, I just have to thank today's sponsor, which is none other than the loyal, the royal, the fantastic Ana Luisa. Don't y'all see me blinging out today? Bling bling. Bling bling. Okay. Thanks to Ana Luisa, I can take a simple black outfit like the one I'm wearing and make it look so good. So the way that Ana Luisa just, coats my body. That sounds weird. Let's say enhances my body. Just adds so much. Look at me. Hold on. Let's do it again.
Let me sit this ass.
Flair, sass, pizzazz. I want to thank the team over at Ana Luisa because not only have you guys been super patient with me, you guys have always been awesome. And just, happy holidays to the team at Ana Luisa as well. Because they also gifted me some amazing pieces and blinged me out. I've been gifted with some beautiful 14 karat gold plated jewelry. For the price, they have great quality pieces. The style is great and it's modern. And also their ethics are unbeatable. Let me tell you why. As someone who's deep into sustainability and trying to push my channel in a more sustainable direction, working with partners like Ana Luisa makes that so much easier because they're super transparent. You can literally go on their website and search the sustainability section and they tell you exactly what they're doing. You can see how long they've lasted, and that's only thanks to Ana Luisa being a great company and actually having good quality, affordable pieces. So of course, if you go to their website right now, using the link in my description box, you get an additional 10% off. Actually, they're running an even better sale right now, which is buy one, get one, 60% off. Yes, you heard that right. So use the link in my bio, go check it out, and I know you'll love them as much as I do. Okay, now let's actually chat about visas. Okay.
Random disclaimer.
So since this is such a serious topic, somewhat serious, and like big topic in the expat community or wannabe expat community, I'm going to preface this by saying, one, I'm not no expert. And let's be honest, neither are the freaking visa people. There are some expat companies that claim they can help you with your visas, and they can't. They can't. So this is why I'm telling you this information so you can learn it yourself. I will also preface this by saying I'm American. So my perspective is going to be on American visas. Now, generally, France offers a lot of the same visas to most countries, but requirements may be different, or depending on the agreement that your home country has with France, you might have like different visas. Like, for example, Canada has this working holiday visa that's a lot easier to get, but it's because Canada and France has an agreement. Okay. So I'm not the government. I don't want to hear nobody in the comments saying, well, I did this. Girl, I told you I wasn't an expert. I'm just an expat who's had to ask 20 million questions to get this information. Okay, let me stop chatting. In this video, we're going to cover 5 main visa categories. Like, these are the most common ones. All the other ones are usually if you're like, you have family that are French or in France or something like that. But these are the 5 main categories that people who have no connection to France are just coming as a new expat usually go for. Let's start with an au pair visa. Now, au pair visas are some of the easiest to get. Seriously, you sign you find your host family that you like. You guys sign a contract. You go to the visa center with all your paperwork, and it's fairly simple. You're not showing your income. You're not showing you pay taxes, yada, yada, yada. Literally, it's so simple. But it has its downfalls. I know you're like so eager to come to Paris and just be like an au pair and like live the Parisian life.
Oui, oui, baguette. Bisous.
But if you do have plans to eventually stay in Paris after your au pair year, au pair visas make it really difficult to change. Because if you're an au pair, you're not a tax resident. So basically, you ain't got no leeway in this country until you start paying taxes. Why I say it's harder for long-term goals is because it's harder to switch to a different kind of visa. Like, the only other visa you can switch to from an au pair visa after your au pair stay is a student visa. And you cannot get a job with an au pair visa legally, and you cannot get an apartment, which of course, if you don't have a job, you're not going to get an apartment, yada, yada, yada. You see how that connects. So basically, if you get fired as an au pair and you still have an au pair visa, legally you can't do anything in this country. Like, nothing.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And also, you cannot obtain a new visa if you still have months on your current visa. So if you get fired like 2 months into your au pair stay, you can't switch to a new visa until your visa expired for the full year. So basically, you're asked out. Let's put it that way. If you leave your family, if they fire you, if they're just like incredibly abusing their power, there's nothing else you can do outside of au pairing legally in the country. Now, of course, you can do other things, but I'm not here to advise anything under the table. Who would I be? Au pair visas are renewable twice. So if you have a family that you like and you want to stay with them longer than the first year, you can renew it 1 more year. But that's the maximum amount you can renew this visa. It's only available for 2 years, which is not horrible. Like, it's fine, but it has its caveats. And France has this thing where if you're legally in the country for 5 years, you have your visa, you've been renewing, you have your status that you've been keeping up with. After 5 years, you can apply for French citizenship. And the thing to that is, if you're an au pair, those 2 years, that year that you did, does not count.
See, now that's some bullshit.
So you see why I say it has a lot of caveats. You cannot get a job if you get fired. It doesn't go towards your 5-year build for your residency in France. And you can only do it for maximum of 2 years. So although on the outside it's going to be a lot easier for you to get, once you come to the country, you'll see how difficult it is to like work with it if anything goes awry or wrong. Now, we're going to talk about student visas. In my mind, this is low-key the golden visa to start with, and I'm going to tell you why. I have a student visa. Don't ask me no more, I said it. I'm on a student visa because I like my sanity. You just have a lot more flexibility in this country if you're just starting out on a student visa, even if you're an au pair, even if you find a family that you want to au pair with, I would still recommend doing a student visa. Even if you're a digital nomad, I would still say do a student visa, because it just like kind of works out in your favor. Even if you're not going to a large university, you can still obtain a student visa with a language school that is recognized by like Campus France. It's basically the overarching governing thing of students in France. So if your school is recognized, even if it's just a language school, if it's recognized by Campus France and you meet the requirements of like 20 hours per week, you can obtain a student visa that way. And it kind of just goes hand in hand. If you're just coming to France, you're gonna need to improve your French anyway. Trust me. It's not a country where you can get by on your English. And you don't want to do that. You want to be able to talk to the administration that you're gonna have to call 20 times in a row. You're gonna want to have to talk. You want to be able to talk to them. You're gonna want to be able to speak French when you lock yourself out your apartment and not get scammed. Trust me. And in general, having a student visa is a lot less chaotic than the other visas I'm going to mention in this video. Because when you're a student, you just have a lot of discounts. You have access to a lot of apartments as a student. Some apartments are only student residences, or some apartments prefer students to rent. I don't know why. And also, I know the internet, I know the interwebs, I know people are pessimistic, but even if you decide to switch schools, you can legally change schools on a student visa and not be considered illegal. Does that make sense? So if you start with one school and you decide, hey, this is not working out, you can switch. You can do it. Ain't nobody checking for you. You can do it. As long as you meet the requirements for the renewal time, you're fine, sis. Also, as I was saying, discounts. Paris is a great city for students. There's just so many benefits, and I don't get why every city doesn't do this. But as a student, if you have a student card, or even if you're under 27, you get access to a lot of discounts, but sometimes students get even more discounts. Like to movie theaters, if you're a student, your metro pass, your transit pass is a lot cheaper if you're a student. Sometimes housing, you have more access to housing options, and housing can be cheaper for students. There's also like housing aid that helps you pay a portion of your rent. That's very helpful for students. Also jobs, if you plan to work in the city or in the country of France, jobs love a student visa, let me tell you. If you want to teach English, if you want to work at a coffee shop, having a student visa is like one of the golden ones, because the other ones are so particular. They require the companies a lot of the time to do other paperwork for you. So student visas just allow everything to be a breeze. And you can legally work up to 25 hours as an American on a student visa per week. Got it? Okay, I said it correctly. Cool. So like I said, it's just a win-win situation. You're improving your French if you want to go to French courses, or if you want to do a full intensive university, that's good as well. You can still legally work and get an apartment and all of that and pay your rent, because you're gonna need to. And just like discounts? Who don't love a good discount? So this is why I say, for many reasons, this is one of my favorites, and this is the visa I'd recommend for a lot of people. And if you're an au pair and you get fired, but you have a student visa, it covers your ass, because you can have a backup plan. You can get an apartment, you can get a job to help you pay for the apartment, to pay your bills. You don't have to immediately leave the country because you're homeless, you're broke. You have other options. Got it. Done. Student visa done. The next few visas, I'm not going to get into super detail because I don't want to get them wrong. I'm just going to go over the gist. Like, I'm not going to get into the requirements of getting these visas. You got to look at that yourself. But I'm going to tell you situations where it would be applicable and the people that I know who have these certain visas. So this next one is called a tourist visa. Now, if you're American, or I don't know who the other countries who have this, but if you're American and you don't have a visa, when you come to Paris, you're automatically considered on a tourist visa. And that basically means up to 90 days you can stay in this country without going through the visa process. Now, after that, if you don't have a visa, you have to leave because you would need one after that. But there's this thing called a long stay tourist visa, which basically is like you're a tourist.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
But long stay. You could actually apply for this. You have to show that you have enough money to sustain yourself, of course, and that you have no plans to work in France. That's the caveat, because this is one of the things that I was looking into, and I was like, okay, cool. I work remotely, so I'm not going to work in France anyway, but you can't even work at all. Legally, you're not allowed to work. What you do illegally is not my business, but legally, you cannot work on a tourist visa. You do have to show a lot more paperwork. You have to show a lot more income to sustain this status. And again, tourist visas don't, I believe, tourist visas do not count towards the 5-year citizenship too. So of course, if you like fit into these brackets of you're not going to work and you have enough money to sustain yourself for the full year, then tourist visa is worth it. But beyond that, I don't really know who this applies to. Like, a lot of retired people usually get this visa just to like retire in France, and it works for them. But for young people who have to work or want to do something, I don't recommend trying this way. Going back to student. I'm backtracking a little bit to student visas. If you apply for a student visa, you have to show that you have enough money for the full year. I made this mistake because they say you have to show 615 euros per month that you make to sustain yourself. That's basically the minimum wage in France, and you have to show that you can prove that you have more than that per month. I thought they just meant income, so I showed them my bank statements, like 3 bank statements, saying that I have this amount of money coming in each month. I meet the bracket. I meet more than the bracket. But no, you have to show that you have 615 euros saved for every month that you plan to stay in France. Does that make sense? Because that's a mistake I made when I first applied, and I had to resend my information. Okay, next visa. We're done with student. Next visa. These next ones are ones that confuse people a lot, and there's a lot of random information and people don't really know. That's just visas in France in general. There's so much information out there, but no one really knows, because it's really up to the people who are processing your application. That's how France works. You can have all your documents and still there'll be an issue because the person doesn't know about the visas that you're applying for. Make it make sense. The next ones are called like profession libérale status or auto entrepreneur. These ones are going to be interchanged a lot because it's like freelancing, self-employed. It's going to be mixed a lot. These ones fit under the brackets if, like I said, you're a freelancer or you're self-employed and you can prove that you have a company already set, or even if you can prove you're going to set up a company and like show your business plan, show what you plan to make, and you have to like meet certain criteria. This is why I said I'm not going to go into too many details because it does change depending on your sector, depending on everything. But I will say this is the status/visa that a lot of English teachers are on. So if you want to come to France and teach English, you would either be on this status or on a student status. I say this status is a lot more complicated because not every company hires freelancers. Not everyone is willing to do the freelancing process because it's a different process. It's not as simple as a student. But there are also some companies who prefer you to be able to invoice them as a freelancer, as a self-employed person. When you have this status, you have to invoice companies that you work with. Versus a student, you're not invoicing them, you're an employee of them. Makes sense. So unless you already have a business set up, or unless you're in the process of setting that up already, if you're ready to come to France and you don't really know what to do, I would say start somewhere else, because this one is literally, you have to meet these brackets. You're going to be denied if you don't, of course. And honestly, it's not worth the hassle unless you really already have your plan set. Now, these visas also a lot of the time require you to set up a business in France, and that itself is its own process. You usually have to go through an accountant or a lawyer and have that set up in France and go through the whole office to set up your business and all of that. You have to do the full process to really get these visas. This one's a good visa if you're already here and you're gonna change your status. You can do that as well. That's good for that. Like, this is what I know a lot of people do. Like, for example, they come on a student visa, they finish their studies, they start a business, and then they switch their status to this. What I mean by switching your status is the visa is just to get you into the country. Once you've been here after your year and you either renew, you're gonna get this thing called carte du séjour, and that's going to say your status now in France, your legal status, and that's going to be basically your residency while you're here. So after your year is up or your months are up on your current status, you can change it to something else, but you cannot change it while you're doing it. Like, it's like what I said earlier, on an au pair visa, you can't change it during the year. This is what I'm talking about. And also, I will say, for these statuses, you have to work in the bracket that you apply for. So if you start a business in France and you say you're going to be like a coffee roaster, you're going to start a coffee shop, you have to only work in that field, like being a barista, whatever's in the field of having a coffee shop. But if your business is not making money or you're not finding a job in that field, you have to go through the process again to apply a different status to work in a different field. Like I said, this status is complicated. It's a lot of work. So I will end this portion by saying this one might seem nice for digital nomads, but unless you're really ready to start this long-ass process of paperwork and accountants and stuff, as a digital nomad, I know that we just like to up and go and move around. I would really say that's a good one to start with. You kind of want to get your foot in the door and then move slowly. But hey, to each their own. The last one I want to chat about, because this one has been coming up a lot in everyone's minds. It's like a golden visa. It's called the Passeport Talent. This is a visa you see a lot of French YouTubers, influencers with, like Damon Dominique, if you know any of them, Nathaniel Drew, Jay Swanson. They have this visa. This is also the visa that the French government gypped me with, but we're not gonna be bitter. I deserve this visa. Anyway, this visa is basically to say you're an artist, you're a creator, you're a really skilled person. You don't even have to be in the creative field. You're just saying you're really skilled and my skills are valuable to the French economy. Now this one, I say it's golden because you don't necessarily have to show like your business is set up and all of that. You're more of showing that you're of value in general. You're selling yourself or your skills constantly. So if you're an actor, you've been in a lot of movies, you show that you've been in movies, you have a reputable status. Really, this one is a fairly new one. So the regulations are all over the place, sis. All over the place. I've heard people get it from less than 10,000 subscribers to people who have a hard time who have like 500,000 subscribers. The bracket is everywhere. So I think it's worth applying for if you feel like you can prove yourself, you prove you have income, you prove that you're of value to the French economy. I think it's worth applying for it because even actors who are just in plays that happen to be in France have gotten approved for this visa. And also, since it's so new, no one really knows what's required for it. So this one is like one that really depends on who is processing your visa application if they feel you're worthy. It's like, sis, the information for this one is all over the place. So it may seem intimidating to apply for this one, but I think it's worth it. I'm optimistic. It's worth it. If they don't play you like they played me. But seriously, like actors, makeup artists, even people who work in certain science fields have gotten this. This is also a visa that your job can sponsor you for. So some jobs will sponsor you for a passport talent, just saying that you're like very skilled and no one else can do this. This would be this area of expertise. Also, the reason why this one is so sought after is because this one is a 4-year renewable visa. So if you have a visa that's technically granted to you for 4 years, as long as you can keep proving yourself, all you have to do is make 1 more year to get the French residency status. So, I mean, win-win-win, win-win-win, you know what I'm saying? You just constantly have to like prove your worth. That's the only downfall. You're literally having to sell yourself to the government every year, proving that you're super skilled in the field that you say you are, and that you're of value to French society. This is overall the overarching a lot of the visas that Americans come to apply for. The other ones are so particular, or they just you just don't qualify for them. Unless you're like a master's student, there's a visa. If you're a master's student and you're looking for work after your master's year, there's a specific visa for that. Or if you have family in France that are European or that are French, I think there's a visa for that. But these are the main ones that expats who are coming to the country for the first time usually go for, or get, or are granted. Now, I want to share with you also, just to give you a little bit of hope if you really want to come here. Let's start off by saying, people in Paris, I don't know if it's just Paris, I don't know if it's just France, but people here are very pessimistic. So when you ask certain questions, a lot of the time the answer is going to be, it's impossible. No, you can't do it. Don't do it. It's not gonna happen. There are some loopholes, okay? One of the loopholes are, say you're an au pair. You have a great family that you love, but you're at the end of your 2nd year already, so you can't renew your visa. Legally, the family can hire you on the status that's like called travailler temporaire or garde d'enfant, something like that. Look it up specifically. I'll write the words in case you don't understand my français. They can legally hire you saying that you're a worker for them or you're a nanny, and you can still be in the country and have a working contract and have a working visa, which is what a lot of people who are immigrating to this country are trying to obtain. So let me put that out there. There's hope. If you find a great family that's willing to do that paperwork for you, there's hope after that. You're welcome. Now, let me give you a big tip. This is the one that I'm gonna really advise you for. I understand I've been an English teacher looking for work, and I see now a lot of people who want to teach English or come to the country are looking for English teaching jobs, but they don't know what visa they can get, or they just don't have a visa yet. I don't advise you to come to this country looking for work without a visa. And a lot of people will tell you, no one will hire you. I mean, there's some ways that they can, but the reason why they won't hire you is because in order for them to hire you, you already have to have a French social security number, and you have to have a French bank account, and sometimes you already have to have your like apartment and stuff like that in order to get the job and the working contract, and the working contract will allow you to get a visa. Are you tracking with me? Does that make sense? So that's a lot of the reason why they won't hire you, because they have to do paperwork on their end, and if you don't have the stuff they need, obviously they can't hire you. Well, remember when I got fired as an au pair and I was out here in these streets looking for work? Do you remember that? So I actually got hired, received a working contract at an English teaching school, and was going to be able to work legally. But the thing was, at the time, I still had my au pair visa. So I didn't have the correct visa. I had a visa, but I didn't have the correct visa to get hired fully. Companies can give you a piece of paper called a promesse d'embauche, something like that, to basically state that we will fully hire you as a worker in this place when you're able to get the correct paperwork. So for now, you're going to be a temporary worker until you're able to apply and get your correct visa. So if that job was to work out, I would have started as a temporary worker and taking my work contract to apply for a work visa, then to come back to the job and be like, hey, I have my working visa now. You can hire me as a permanent worker. So I'm here to tell you it's not going to be easy because everyone's not willing to do this extra step, or companies don't know about it, but there is an option. I would say ask about a promesse d'embauche. Do they know about it? People literally just don't know. Or ask, can they work with you on this certain visa if you don't have the correct one? It does not hurt to ask. Ciao. I did it. Now, I hope that all of this information has helped clarify some things for you, has helped you decide what visa you can or should not even apply to. And I hope this helps you realize why a lot of expats complain about the French administration, because it's super specific, but then it's not specific at the same time. It's back and forth. It's like, hey, you need to have this paperwork, but also to get this paperwork, you have to do this thing, but you can't do this thing until you get that paperwork. That is France in a nutshell. That's what you're going to be constantly dealing with. They do not make it easy for expats here. So I would say, if you're not 100% dead set on coming to France, look around at other European countries. I mean, even other countries in different continents, because there are a lot of countries that are surprisingly a lot easier to immigrate to as an American or as an expat, because they have different agreements with your country. As an American who's self-employed, a digital nomad, Portugal is a lot easier to immigrate to, so I've heard. Also, the Netherlands has a specific visa for like self-employed people that is a lot easier to get to than the one in France. It's a lot easily set up, and they also speak English in that country, so you wouldn't have to worry about that stress. Also, Estonia has its own visa for digital nomads and stuff like that. So if you're not 100% dead set on coming to France, I know Paris, everybody's like, Paris is a dream. I know, sis, I was that way. I get it. And if you are 100% dead set on moving to Paris, don't do it. Good luck. Bon chance. I like how I'm a Paris YouTuber telling you not to come into Paris. This is why they didn't give me my freaking passport talent, because I'm telling people to run away. Alright, I'm gonna stop chatting you guys' ear off and let you go. I love chatting with you guys, but if you have any more questions about French visas or visas in general, leave them in the comments down below and I'll try my best to answer them. And thank you for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I hope it was at least entertaining, you know? And until next time, y'all, big bisous. Bye. The administration here, slow. Today is December 26th, 2021, and I have finally received my carte vitale, which is my social security card. The thing that helps me not pay an arm and a leg for medical needs in France. You see it? Finally, it's cute picture. Look at it. Ow, I can't see it. And I applied for this thing supposedly in 2017. Got my first temporary number 2019. Was supposed to receive the permanent number right after that. Didn't get the permanent number till about 2 weeks ago. Now I finally have my card. This whole past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I had to pay because I didn't have this card. Now where my carte séjour at? Where my carte séjour? C'est où là? Still don't have my residence card. Where you at?